Welcome back to our programming Windows Forms application tutorial. We're still on lesson 3. This should be I believe this should be part 5 or part 4. I've lost count. Let me just check that and make sure. Okay, yeah, this should be part 5 of the travel allowance calculator. That's part 5 of lesson 3. We're still creating our travel allowance calculator application. In today's lesson, as we said in the previous part, that's in part 4, we said in today's lesson we're going to see how we can import the database from an external file. That's the database containing the distances between the cities. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is let me just go and extract the existing distances, which I said I had coded in the web-based application. That's in the JavaScript code of the web-based application. So I'll just go and grab that out. So I'll put it in a separate file. I'll save it as a text file, and that text file is going to be our is going to serve as our database. Okay, and then we'll see how we can import that text file into our program. So let me see, it should be in here. Let's see, big bucket. No, it's not in here. I think it should be in GitHub. Okay, so here it is. This should be the code, so I'll just open it with Notepad. Let me open it with Sublime. Okay, so here's the distances data. I'll just select everything from here to here. I'll clean it up in the text file. Okay, so I've clicked Control C to copy, and I'll just use a notepad to store those data. So I'll do Control V to paste. Okay, now I do not want these. All these are, if you remember, this was from our JavaScript code. So as you can see, there are, why is there an empty comma in the orca distances? That looks odd. Let me just go back to the JavaScript code. So orca distances. Okay, I can see there's a double comma there, which means I'm either missing a distance, or I accidentally deleted a distance, or I accidentally added a comma. So let me just count the number of items in the Asaba distances. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So there are 31 distances in the Asaba distances. So I expect to see 30 distances here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so there are 30. So this was just an extra comma. I've forgotten how many I counted. Sorry, let me just recount this. I've forgotten if it was 31 or 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, so there are 31 in Orca and there are 30 in what am I doing? There are 31 in there are 31 in Asaba distances and there are 30 in Orca distances, so we're fine. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and save this again to make sure I do not um, tamper with my JavaScript code. So my web-based program still works fine. And I'll head back. I'll just close that and head back to this, and I'll just eliminate that extra comma in the Orca distances. Okay, and then next I'm going to clean up this text file. Okay, I do not want I don't want it to be like a JavaScript code. Okay, all I'm interested in is the distances, and I want the distances to be separated by commas, and that's all. Okay, so I don't even want this Abakaliki distances written here. I do not want the equal sign. Remember, this is going to serve as like a database for us. Okay, so we already know that the first distance is for Abakaliki distances. Okay, also notice I'm eliminating the semicolon at the end, and I'm also removing the square bracket. Okay, so it's just going to be a text file with raw distances in kilometers separated by commas. Okay, and each line in the text file signifies the distances from a particular city. Okay, and because the distances the cities are are arranged alphabetically, so I know that the first line which I'm going to read from this text file is going to be the distances from Abakaliki to other cities, and for each city I know all the cities are arranged alphabetically. Okay, so we know which we know 656 kilometers is the distance between Abakaliki and the next city. That's the next city in the alphabet when we arrange the cities in alphabetical order. Okay, all right, so I'm just cleaning up this text file. Let's just go ahead. I think I should probably pause this video and finish up cleaning the text file, so I'll just do that and I'll bring it back up when I'm done. Okay, welcome back. I've just finished cleaning up the text file, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to deal with this, because this is Yola distances, and because it's the last city, there are no distance, because all the distances from Yola are already implicitly covered in the previous that's in the previous lines. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this text file, since it's going to be our database, I'm just going to eliminate that as if that line does not exist. Okay, so I've eliminated that. So if you remember, this is the distances from not Yola distances. This should be the distances for the second to the last city. Okay, and the Yola distances does not even exist. That's the line for the Yola distances does not exist. So when I'm reading this text file in my program, I'll make it read up to that point. Okay, when it gets to the Yola distances, I do not expect to read any Yola distances. Okay, all right. Now that I've cleaned it up, remember this is just a new text file. Notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to File and choose Save As, and then I'm going to save it in just to show you how we can import this into our program. I'm not going to go ahead and save it in the same directory as the program we're creating. That's the desktop, the my apps folder. I'm not going to put it in there. I'm just going to okay, I'll put it on the desktop. I'll just put it on the desktop, and I'm going to call it, notice the name I'm going to give it, distances. Let's call it Nigerian cities sorry, not that, distances with a capital D. And then notice that I'm giving it a .txt extension. Okay, when you give a file a .txt extension, you're saying is a text file, meaning you can actually open it up with Notepad and see the contents that are the contents of the file. Okay, and usually the contents of a text file are normal characters, string characters, as you can see in here. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to click on save. So it's going to this file is going to appear on the desktop. I'm just putting it on the desktop so it's easy for me to navigate when I need it. So let's see, where is it? Okay, here it is. You can see this is the file. Good. Now we're going to go into our Visual Studio and open our application. That's our travel allowance calculator application. And the first thing we need to do is we need to include this file in the program that we're creating. Okay, so I think this is the application travel allowance calculator. So I've opened it. Notice okay, so it did open the file. I thought it was not going to open it. If you remember, if you open your solution and what you're having is something like this, you can always head to your solution explorer and you can choose whichever file you want to open. So for the code view or for the design view, you can just double click on this form 1 here and the design view shows. And if you want to see the code view, you right click on the design view form and you click on view code, and there you have it. That's your code. Okay. All right. Next, like I said, we're in our program. We're in our Windows Form application. We need to include that Nigerian distances file. We need to tell Visual Studio that that file is part of the file that we want to use in our program. Okay. That's one way we can include it. Another way we can actually include it is actually right in the code. We can decide to pick out, like you can select, you can provide the path to your file. Okay. Anyway, just to include it in here so it's very easy for us to write the path, I'm going to what we're going to do is we're going to include it as if we're, remember how we added an existing class. Okay, if you remember, in when we were doing the I think it was when we were looking at interfaces, I think we showed how you can import an already existing class, okay, or an already existing interface. So here, what we want is, we're not importing an already existing class. What we're importing is an existing item. Okay, the item we have is a text file, and we want it to be part of the resources of or part of the documents of the application we're creating. Okay, so how you're going to do it is you go to the project menu and you choose on add existing item. So here it is, add existing item. You click on it, and then now you navigate to where the file is. So I know the file is on the desktop, so I'm going to choose desktop. And on the desktop, I know it's a text file. By the way, by default, notice that among the types of files it's telling you to add, or it's filtering for you, it's not including a txt file. Okay, so you will have to make sure you click on there and choose all files here, so it removes the filters and allow you to select any type of file. Another option or another way you can do that is you can just come in here where it says file name and click and type star dot star and press enter, and that will remove the filters and choose all files for you. Okay, so now I can see all different types of files and not just C# source files. Okay. All right. So this is the file Nigerian cities distances.txt. I've clicked on it and I choose add. Now notice what happens after I added that particular text file. If you head on to your Solution Explorer, you will see that the file is now listed in your list of items in the Solution Explorer. So if you look at under your travel allowance calculator, that's the project file. If you enlarge the project file, among the items you have there, you will see that Nigerian cities distances.txt is included in there, and if you click on it, you'll see that the file is there. Don't forget that these 1, 2, 3, they're just line numberings for the source file. Okay. It usually numbers your any kind of resource file that you open in Visual Studio. The reason it gives the numbers is so that it's easy to track errors. So when you have an error in a particular line, it will tell you that the error is on line so. Okay, so it's easier for you to track. So this all I'm saying is that these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are not part of the text that is stored inside the Nigerian cities distances.txt. Okay, from here to here, as you can see, these are the contents of that file. Okay. All right, so we've successfully added that Nigerian cities distances.txt file. The next thing we're going to do is just by adding it in here, we haven't yet included it in our program. Okay, we need to read the file. Despite we've added it into the project, doesn't mean we've read the file. Okay, in our program, we now need to read the file in our program so that our program can pick up these distances and make, remember, these are just actually, they're not even numbers at the moment. They're just strings. They're just like characters that we've written in the text file. To convert these characters to any meaningful information for your program, you have to read the file. You have to tell the program to read the file, and you have to specify, you as the programmer, you have to specify the way it is going to read the file. Okay, you have to tell it like you have to specify okay, for example, you're going to say that I'm going to give you an idea of how we're going to tell the compiler to read this file for us. So we're going to say it should read, first of all, it should take the first line in the text file. That's this particular line. Okay, it should read that line. Now store all the characters that you can find there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, take that line that you've just read, break it wherever you see a comma in that line, break it into chunks. Okay, eliminate the commas, and each comma separates each chunk. Okay, each chunk forms a number. Okay, we're going to take each chunk, convert it to a number, store it in an array, take the next chunk, convert it to a number, store it in a, that's how we're going to read these items. Okay, now after we're done with the first line, we'll go to the next line, repeat the same step. If you remember our loop, we're going to use looping to make this very easy. So we're not going to be writing 36 lines. Okay, we're not going to be doing this 36 times. All we need to do is we create a loop that does that 36 times, or that does it until the characters in the file are exhausted, so there's no more characters to be read in the file. Okay, I'm just giving you an overview of how we're going to read this file, or how we're going to tell the program to read this file for us in our application. Okay, all right, so I'm just going to close that, and I'm going to head back to our code view. And in our code view, the best place where we can tell the program to read this file, I believe, is in the constructor for the form 1. Okay, the form 1 constructor, that's where we actually created this, where we populated this array, or where we created this array, and used it to populate the state capitals. Okay, we can just as well add the um, reading of the text file, okay, that contains the distances, okay, for the cities. Okay, so we're going to write the code here, okay, but rather than writing the code explicitly like that, I think the best way to do it is, why not we create a method? Okay, so we're going to create a method that will actually read the file, and then we call the method here. Okay, so when we call the method here, it will it will like skip there and go to where we declared the method and execute those lines of code that actually read the file. Okay, so what I mean by that is, we're going to need to create a method, and I'm going to make that method a private method. So I'm going to say private void read cities distances. So this is the name of the method, and it's a void method because we don't expect it to return anything. We just want it to read the cities distances, and usually we're going to keep an array where the cities distances is going to be stored. Okay, so we're going to say private void read cities distances, open a curly bracket, close a curly bracket. This is the definition. So all the code that is going to handle the reading of this text file is going to lie in here. Okay, good. Now another thing we're also going to need is, we're going to need another private variable here. I'm going to declare it here, and the variable is going to be an array. Okay, and the kind of array we're going to create is going to be an array of arrays. So I don't know if that's going to make sense, but let me just show you how to create that. So it's going to be a list of, not a list of string, it's going to be a list of string. Okay, notice how I defined it, and the name of the list is let's call it distances. So we're going to say is equal to new list, just to initialize it, new list of string, and don't forget your brackets here, because that's an initialization. This is a constructor. Okay, I don't know if this is going to make sense to you. I can't remember if I mentioned multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, so I'm going to open up Notepad. That's a keyword. That's an important word, actually, not a keyword. So a keyword in programming is something like public namespace. Using those are keywords. Okay, so what I mean by that is, what I mean by important word is that it's something important you need to know. So a multi-dimensional array. So I'm going to open up Notepad. Multi-dimensional array. Okay, so I think we've looked at an array, and if you remember what an array is, it's just like a box containing several sections that's inside that one box. Okay, the array is like the box. Remember, an array is like a variable. Inside that variable, or inside that box, you have smaller boxes, all kind of okay, instead of smaller boxes, let's call it cells, small cells, where you can drop items, where you can store items in it. Okay, so one particular array can hold several different items. Okay, now that's a normal array. Now if you have a multi-dimensional array, it means that the array you have is like a box. Okay, so let's imagine this is a box. So let's imagine this is a box. You have some tiny cells. So I'm going to use normal brackets to kind of draw out the tiny cells. Okay, so this is like a normal array. In a normal array, you have these boxes, these smaller cells. So this 1, 2, 3, 4. So for example, for this array, you have 4 smaller cells inside that array, and in each cell you can drop an item, maybe D here, maybe 4 here, maybe 5 here, maybe 6 here. So you can store items in here. Okay, so this array can hold several different items. Now that's a normal array. The way a multidimensional array works is that inside it's similar to an array, but let's take among multidimensional arrays there are actually several dimensions. Okay, you can have a two-dimensional array, and I'm going to try and explain this, okay, so that it sticks to your head and you fully understand it. Okay, you can have a two-dimensional array, you can have a three-dimensional array, you can have a four-dimensional array, you can have a 100-dimensional array. Okay, now I'm going to try and explain what these dimensions mean. Now for the normal array that we've been treating that we've treated before, that array is a one-dimensional array. Okay, the reason it's a one-dimensional array is because inside these cells, the items you are storing in there, they are like unit items. Okay, you can only store one single item inside this cell of this array. Inside each cell you can store only one item. Now that is why that is a one-dimensional array. Okay, now for a two-dimensional array, inside each cell you can actually store another array that can store two different items. I hope this is making sense. I don't know if you're getting the picture right. I'm trying to draw out a picture. I don't know if this is going to make sense to you, but I'll try my best to see that it does. So inside each cell we're having another array. So it's like you're having an array of arrays. So you can see this is the same array, similar to the first one, that actually has 4 items. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this array has 4 items, but notice the difference. In the previous array, each item of that one-dimensional array can only hold one item, but notice that this two-dimensional array, each item of a two-dimensional array can actually hold an array that holds 2 items. Okay, that's why it is called a two-dimensional array. Okay, now if you have a three-dimensional array, it means you have an array that holds an array. Okay, I'm beginning to confuse myself. So for a three-dimensional array, it's going to look something like this. You have an array that that can hold. Okay, let's draw some of the items. Let's say there's an array that can hold 4 items. Okay, now each array can hold an array that holds another array. Okay, now this is a three-dimensional array. So okay, I'm beginning to we're going to make a mess of this diagram, but I hope this is beginning to make sense. Okay, so for this you can think about the dimension, that's the number beside the dimension, as the number of like the depth of the arrays that you have. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you look at this external array, okay, this is this is like a giant array, and inside it you have some smaller arrays that can hold okay, actually this doesn't have to be 2 items. Okay, that's why I was confusing myself. It doesn't have to be 2 items. Okay, as long as it's an array that holds another array, it's a two-dimensional array. Okay, okay, I think that's why I was confusing myself. So for a two-dimensional array, it is a big array that has cells, and in each of that cell it has an array that can hold unit items. Okay, that can hold unit items. What I mean by it can hold unit items is that it has, the array inside has cells, and these cells can only hold single items. That this cell can only hold a single item inside it. Okay, this cell can hold a single item. Same with this array. the array, the items or the objects inside this array are only single or unit items. Okay, now that is a two-dimensional array. For a three-dimensional array, this is going to be what it looks like. So it's an array that can hold arrays. Okay, an array that can hold arrays. Now we're in two dimension, and then each of those arrays can also hold arrays inside them. Okay, so this array can hold another array, this array in it can hold another array or arrays. Okay, so in here this can hold another set of arrays. So I'm just I don't know if this, okay, this is a very bad choice of diagram, I admit, but I'm trying to space them out so you see what I'm doing. This square bracket ends here, so let me just space it a bit. This square bracket ends here, this square bracket ends here. I don't know if this makes any sense. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there's a big array in here, and inside that big array it can hold arrays, and those arrays can also hold arrays. Okay, so that's a three-dimensional array. For a two-dimensional array is an array of arrays. Okay, for a four-dimensional array is an array that can hold arrays that can hold arrays that can hold arrays. I hope that makes sense. I'm not going to try and confuse you any further. Just keep that. The moment you begin to go above three-dimensional arrays, you're heading into a world of pain in programming. So just stick to probably two-dimensional arrays, and I don't think there's any need for you to use three-dimensional arrays. Okay, all right. Let's head back to my discussion. So what I was saying is that in the program, where's the code? Okay, here, the kind of array we're creating here is an array of arrays. So distances is an array that can hold arrays. Okay, so what that means is that let me head back to that text file and just show you what we're going to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep an array. Okay, so we're going to keep an array, that's one giant array, and inside that array is going to hold distances. Now inside that big array, the first cell of that array is going to hold these distances. So the first cell of that array is an array of distances. Now that is why I said it's going to be an array of arrays. That is going to be a two-dimensional array. Okay, inside the second cell of that array is going to be another set of distances or another array of distances. Now the first array of distances, if you notice, the distances is the Abakaliki distances. Okay, now that is how we're going to populate that giant two-dimensional array until we're done reading all this into it. Okay, remember, we created, the whole point we're creating this two-dimensional array so that we can store these distances complete. Okay, and the way we want to store them is that for each item in the array is going to hold the distances of a city from other cities. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. I think it's better we just go on and code it out, and hopefully you're going to understand what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to head to where we're going to create. So here, like I said, just in here we're going to say read cities distances, and remember your brackets, because now we're just calling this method. Okay, so this is just calling this method. So when execution gets here, it's going to come here and execute whatever code we populate in here. So what we're going to write in here, the code we're going to write in here is the code that is going to read all those distances in the Nigerian cities distances.txt. All those numbers is going to take it and populate it inside this distances array, okay, or distances two-dimensional array, okay. All right. First, I think okay. I'm thinking about the time it's going to take us. Let's see. I think we're heading towards almost an hour for this lesson. It's probably too long. So maybe we're going to break it out, but I don't know. Okay, maybe we should just add a little more and then stop it and continue in the next lesson. But for now, I'll just go ahead and start coding out this read cities distances. Okay. Okay. So if you want to read a file, if you want to read from a file, there are a couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need a file stream, and you're going to need a stream reader. Okay. Now those two objects, they are objects that come with .NET. They are not objects that you create by yourself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the file stream. Okay. So file stream is written like this. Remember, file stream is actually a class, and notice that the file stream class exists in the system.io namespace. Okay, so we're going to say file stream. Now the reason we're not having any errors here is because if you remember at the top, we've already added using system.io. Okay, so if assuming we did not add this using system.io, if I write file stream here, you can see it's going to underline it in red line, meaning that it doesn't really know what this file stream means. Okay, so you have to make sure you include this using system.io namespace. Okay, so that the compiler can actually see this file stream class. So we're going to say file stream, and the name of the file stream variable, I'm just going to call it fs. I don't know if that's a good name, or maybe we should call it file stream with a small f. Now notice the difference between this file stream and this file stream. This file stream is a class. It starts with a capital F, capital S. That's the one that comes with .NET. This file stream is a variable. Okay, this is a variable that's going to reference the file stream object I'm trying to create here. Okay, and I wrote it with a small f. So notice the difference, please. Okay, they're not the same. This is a class, this is a variable. So file stream is equal to new file stream, and in bracket, in the constructor of the file stream, notice what I'm going to do. By the way, this constructor has 15 overloads. Okay, remember method overloading. This file stream has 15 overloads. That's the constructor for this file stream object or file stream class. It has 15 overloads, and notice for this one it's saying in ptr, no, that's not the one I want. So I'm going to press the down arrow on my keyboard, and notice what happens when I press the down arrow on my keyboard. Another option is you can actually click on this little white arrow like this, okay, or click back this one. So I'm going to press down on my arrow on my keyboard, and notice it takes me to the next one. This is not the one I want. I'm going to press it again until I see the one I want. Okay, I think I like this one. This is the one I want to use. So for this constructor overload, all I need to give the file stream is the path to the file. Okay, the path to the file, and also the mode of the stream. That's whether I want to open the file to read, or I want to open the file to write to that text file, or to write to that file. Okay, it doesn't have to be a text file. It can be any type of file. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to remember we're reading the text file, so we're going to open it to read. Also, the first thing we need to do is we need to provide the path, and also notice that the path has to be in string. It has to be passed as a string. So notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these quotes. This delimits my string, and I'm going to say Nigerian cities distances, dot txt. Now the reason I'm writing it as Nigerian cities distances dot txt, okay, that's the direct path. Like, it's just the name of the file I'm giving it. Notice I'm not saying it's in the drive C. The reason I'm doing that is because we have already included the text file in our solution. Okay, that's why we can actually do something like this. We can say just go and pick out that particular text file that we added by giving it the name. Also, another thing you should keep in mind is that you should notice that I wrote the Nigerian cities distances exactly the way it is here. The N is with a capital N, small letters all through, and then capital C, small letters, and then capital D, small letters, and then notice the extension of the file. I added the extension in the file name, okay, .txt, okay. Then next, I'm going to use a comma, and then I'm going to give it the file mode. Remember, we're using the second. Okay, I'm just going to click this. We're using the third overload, okay. The file mode. For the file mode, actually the file mode is not a class, is an enumeration, okay. So you can just write, remember, for enumerations, if you want to see all the enumerations, you can just write the name of the enumeration. That's file mode dot, and then you see the options that you have, okay. So we want to actually open. So file mode dot open, we want to open it so that we can read the file. So file mode dot open, and then I'm going to use a semicolon. So that has created, when the compiler executes this line, it's going to create the file stream, and the file stream is going to contain the contents of this file, this Nigerian cities distances.txt. Okay, next, we're going to, remember I said we're going to need a file reader. So by just creating the file stream doesn't mean you have read the file, okay. In order to read the file, you're going to need a stream reader, okay. First you have to create a file stream, and then you're going to use a stream reader to read that file stream, okay. So we're going to say stream reader. Remember, this stream reader is also a class, and also it is a class that resides in the system.io namespace. You can see it here. So also remember, if you're going to use stream reader, you have to add using system.io up here, okay. All right, stream reader, I'm going to call the variable that will hold a reference to the stream reader object I'm about to create is, guess what, stream reader, okay. The only difference is that I'm writing it with a small s, okay. Notice this stream reader starts with a capital S, this one starts with a small s, okay. So is equal to, now notice the way you create a stream reader. New stream reader, and then the constructor, also notice the constructor for this stream reader has 11 overloads, okay. And it's saying all you need to do to create a stream reader is just pass it a stream. Now a file stream is actually a stream, okay. So what I'm saying is that a file stream is a subclass of a stream. Now that is why we can do something like this right here. We can pass this file stream, okay. Notice the file stream we're passing this file stream in here, okay. That is going to, so that's how you actually read a file. You have to pass the file you want to read to the stream reader, okay, and then use a semicolon, and that creates the stream reader for us, okay. Then next, I'm going to use the stream reader to read the file line by line, okay. So notice how I'm going to do it. While so I'm going to use a while loop. Remember, there's a loop. Stream reader, sorry, it's not going to be with a capital S, it's going to be with a small s. That's the stream reader object we just created, is with a small s. Stream reader dot not end of stream. So notice this end of stream is a boolean. Remember, it returns a boolean, and it usually returns true when the contents of the file have been read completely. So when there is no longer any characters to be read in the file, okay, that is when this returns true. So that is why I'm using that in here. I'm going to say end of stream, but notice what I'm doing. I'm not going to say while stream reader dot end of stream. I'm going to say while it is not end of stream, okay? Because we want to we want to always read a line in the file as long as we have not reached the end of the file, okay? So what this while loop is creating is saying, okay, we're going to perform some executions in here, but as long as the stream, that's the as long as this file, this Nigerian cities distances file, has not reached the end. Actually, not the Nigerian cities distances, this stream reader we're talking about. But at the moment, remember, we actually passed that file into the stream reader, so it's going to mention that file, okay? So we're actually talking about that file. So while that stream reader has not reached the end of the file, please keep reading, okay? That's just what this while loop is creating, okay? So the contents of this while loop is going to be something like this: stream reader dot read line. So read line is a method, so it has to have these brackets. Now stream reader dot read line actually returns a string, okay? So we're going to create a variable where we're going to store that line. So we're going to say string line. So that's one line in the stream reader. String line equals stream reader dot read line. Okay, I'm just trying to break this down for you so that you understand what's actually going on in this code. I don't want to just write the code for you and it becomes very complicated for you. Okay, even in the beginning here, there are some things we are supposed to have done for what do you call it, uh, for garbage collection. Okay, the reason is because the file stream and the stream reader objects are not actually handled by your garbage collector. Okay, so when these objects get when you stop using these objects in your program, the garbage collector does not collect those objects. Okay, so you are supposed to actually dispose of them by yourself in C sharp. Okay, so that's why I said there was something we needed to do, but I don't want to bother you with that for now. So we're just going to write the code, and then we're going to come back and take care of that disposing of those objects, okay, later. So let's just take care of the main code that actually does the job of reading the file, and then we'll take care of disposing of these file stream object and stream reader object when we're done with them. Okay, this lesson is really going too long, so I'll try to speed it up, and so we can reach a checkpoint where we can stop. So while stream reader has not reached the end of the file, it should take a line and shove you should read a line and shove that whatever I read into this. Okay, at this point, what we need to do, or what we should do, is we should actually write out the line to the output window. Okay, we're going to write out the line to the output window so that we actually make sure that the program successfully read. Okay, so when we run the program, we're going to see in our output file that yes, we'll be sure that the program actually read the contents of the Nigerian cities distances.txt. Okay, all right, let's do to do that. We're just going to say console dot write line line okay, dot write line. I'm going to use this this dollar sign so that we can write We can write text. We can write strings together with variables. Okay, so I'm going to say line. Um, okay, I think an I'm going to need a counter in here. So I'm just going to create a counter int k equals 0. Now this counter is not necessary. I'm just creating it so I can show which line number is actually showing that. Okay. So line k of Nigerian cities distances .txt file reads. Then here we're going to populate whatever it read. So we're going to add the line. So we're going to say line. Okay. All right. And then we'll not forget our semicolon. And then after each loop, or after each iteration of the loop, we need to increment k, so that actually let k starts from 1, so that it will say the first one is going to be line 1 of Nigerian cities distances. Then it will tell us, it's going to output whatever it's read as the first line of that text file. Okay, and then the next one is going to be k will be 2, so it's going to say line 2 of the Nigerian cities distances.txt file reads, and then it's going to output whatever it read as in the file. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Remember I said we're not taking care of disposing of, we're not cleaning up resources that we've used, like that's the file stream and the stream reader. We're supposed to take care of them. We're supposed to dispose of them after we're done using them, but we're not doing it for now. We're not really interested in that for now. We just want to see if if it is actually reading the file correctly. So I'm going to go to File, Save All, and then we're going to test run this program and see what happens. Okay, so let's click on play. When we click on play, remember where we're going to expect to see. Okay, we have an exception already. Could not find file, see users. Okay, you can see it's trying to read the file from this particular what do you call it, from this particular path. Okay, even though we had it in there. Okay, so that's something new. I didn't know it was going to do that. What we're going to do for that, so it expects it to be in bin debug. It expects the file to be in /bin and /debug. Okay, so that's fine. No problem with that. We'll just go ahead and add the file in there. Okay, so I'm going to go to the desktop. I'll go to desktop. First of all, I'm going to grab this file, Control C to copy, and then I'm going to go to my apps folder. I'm going to go to our travel allowance calculator. I'm going to go in here. Remember the bin, then debug, and then it expects the file to reside in here. So for now, I'm going to paste it in here. So that's just saying that us adding the Nigerian cities distances.txt here was actually redundant. This is not where we should have added it. We should have brought it in here, but it doesn't matter. Don't worry too much. For now, we're going to take care of that. In fact, I'm going to show you how that's later, maybe on a later lesson. I'm going to show you how to actually add a file browser on your program, on your Windows program, Windows Forms application program, so that you don't even need to worry about whether the path you're giving it is correct or not. Okay, the file browser is going to take care of that for you. Okay, so we're going to see how to do that later. For now, since we've added the Nigerian cities distances, notice where I added it. I went into the travel allowance calculator application. That's our solution folder, and then I went into the travel allowance calculator project folder. and then I went into bin, and then the debug, and then I dropped the Nigerian cities distances.txt file in there. Okay, so now I'm going to come back and run this program again and see. Okay, so the program is running. Now this is not what we're interested in. We're not interested in seeing the window. We'll just minimize it. We'll go to this is what we're interested in. So if you look at the output window, I'm just going to enlarge the output window. This is where it starts, okay, from here. So you can see it actually read the file accurately and correctly. Line K, oh, okay. There's a little error there. Okay, so I'll just stop it and rectify that. Instead of line K, we made a mistake in that code. Okay, I didn't put the K in curly brackets, so I'm going to do that now. Line K is supposed to be in curly brackets because we don't want K to show as K. We want it to show as whatever is stored in K. So we're going to run this program again. I'm going to minimize that. So okay, this is what we want. So line 1, why are we still having, oh okay, I forgot, the counter is supposed to be within, not outside the while loop. The counter is supposed to be within the while loop, so I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to put the K++ here. So it's supposed to be within the while loop, okay, before it exits the while loop. So if it does the first, here K is 1, after the first, it's going to increment it before it comes back. K will be 2, okay. So let's run that again. So the reason I'm not saving is because when you click on play, it's going to automatically save your changes. But be careful, always make sure you go to file and save all, okay. All right, so this is what we want. So you can see line 1 of Nigerian cities distances.txt file reads, and then you can see this is exactly the characters or the contents of the first line of that Nigerian cities text, cities distances text, cities distances.txt text file. Okay, that's the first. That's the contents of the first line. You can see this is the contents of the second line, and like that up to the last line. Also notice, you can see line 36 of this reads this. Notice that in the while loop, this is something very important. Notice what this is actually doing. So this automatically sets a breaking point for your while loop. Okay, so as long as once the stream reader notices that it has reached the end of stream, also notice I'm using a not symbol here, because what we want is while the stream reader has not reached the end of stream, it should keep doing this. Okay, the moment it reaches the end of stream, that is going to return false, and when you negate false, that will turn to true. Oh, actually, that's going to return true when it reaches the end of stream. This is going to return true, and when you negate true, that will be false, and that false is going to cause your while loop to break. So it's not going to try to read another line. Okay, so once it reaches the last line of the text file, it's going to stop. Okay, so this is how you read a file. Now we use the text file as an example in this case. Okay, it doesn't really matter the kind of file. It can be any type of file. Okay, as long as the file contains readable characters. Okay, it's you can actually read it with the same type of code, with the same lines of code that we've just used here. Okay, so I'm going to stop this lesson here. It has gone way too long, and we're going to see how we're going to continue in the next lesson. Okay, so for now we have actually successfully read the file, but reading the file is not just what we're after. After reading the file, we have to remember, after taking this, all we're doing is we're just taking these as characters. So this is just a string. We need to break these this big string down into tiny chunks of numbers, and each number we're going to eliminate those commas, and those commas actually demarcate where we're going to separate the numbers. Okay, so we're going to see how to do that in the next lesson. So I'll see you in the next lesson.